this is an example of why crochet is just really, really cool. One of the things I think is really funny about this is my great-grandmother would make like toilet paper cozies that looked like dolls and dresses, and I swear to God it was the exact same kind of ruffle. And so people have been making things that were considered a bit tacky, and maybe a reason why now a lot of modern people don't like crochet ended up being some of the same things that make crochet really useful as a modeling tool. So there's a mathematician whose name at this moment I'm not remembering correctly, but it's very easy to find her. She figured out that it was the perfect way to have a great tangible model of a hyperbolic plane. And that's just one example of one of the ways you can make, because you can pretty much crochet work stitch by stitch, whereas knitting, you're on needles, so all your stitches are attached. And there's, in my opinion, a little limitation to that, because with crochet, you can work and then go, oh, I want to go over here, or I want to go over here. And you can keep going, and it's an elegant process to create whatever shape you want to shape in the end. And this is really fun, and this is what we're having a lot of fun with this weekend, is this hyperbolic plane blobby thing. And what's fun about it is it's really easy, and it's almost mindless once you get it down. You start out, so this looks almost like it's worked in the round, but it's worked. How many of you are knitters or crocheters? Okay, so some of you already maybe have an idea of what increasing is, like when you make a hat or a sweater, you work increases and decreases to shape things. This is the same thing, we're working increases, but what we're doing is we're starting with a straight line. Say that line was only 10 stitches, and then the next row, we're going to increase in every stitch. So we'd have 2 stitches where there were 1 for each stitch. So that next row we have 20 stitches. And then we have 40 stitches in the row after that. And then 80, and then 160, and on and on and on. So what started out as a shorter row, and this one is 2 per stitch. So this is a really drastic increase. You start out with this row that's really tiny, and you end up with this last row that you try to trace it, but you'd be here a while because it gets really long. And I'll pass this around because what's really cool is you start out with this sort of straight, you know, looks sort of normal, and a few rows in you're going, this is just looking like a really ugly piece of fabric, and then suddenly it just blooms, which is really fun. So it's a fun toy too.
How many rows is that one?
You know, I haven't counted. 1, 2, 3. I'm going to guess it's about 12, and I don't know how many stitches are in the base row because I haven't counted it. I didn't make this one.
You're adding 2?
Yeah, this one's adding 2. And so the rule for doing this kind of thing is add your stitches at an even rhythm. So you could do 1 extra stitch every 2 stitches. You could do 1 every 3, 1 every 4. As you look on the table, you'll see there's some that are more of an undulating, and some are more, you know, crazy and almost look like a brain. The Institute for Figuring has been using this concept and going to town with it, making a coral reef, this is the same idea. And so they're at ICF.org, and they're really awesome.
This is the same thing, just a different stitch.
Same thing, exactly. And this one looks like it's maybe a taller stitch. It's worked on a looser gauge. To get the really crinkly, looks like a brain or cauliflower coral look, it's really helpful to use acrylic yarn and a tighter than normal hook, so you're working on a slightly tighter gauge. We're all about making like pretty sweaters that drape just right. We want to like have a nice loose stitch, but in this case we actually want it to crinkle, which is sort of fun. You're kind of breaking some rules and you're making something really fun. Here, you guys turn it up. Single crochet right there. Someone made a beautiful, another one of the things that takes me right back to my great-grandmother. She used to make me hair ties that had spirals like this. And so it would be a chain with a spiral on each end. I don't know if any of you ever saw a little girl running around in the 70s or 80s with these. Maybe it was just in Texas. But this is a corkscrew, which is the same idea. And you can do a corkscrew really fast, so they're really fun. All you need is 1 chain, however long you want it to be, and you work any number of increases in each chain. So you could do 4 in each chain, you could do 3, you could do 10. Just however many increases you do, it does make a bit of a hole in those chains. So, but it's really cool. What happens is it folds on itself. And we have yarn and hooks, and you can feel free to sit down and we can play with it. So whoever wants to play.